What is going on, guys? Picking future Super Bowl champions isn't really an easy task. Entering the 2010s, did y'all really see the Seattle Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles winning their first championships? Did you see the New England Patriots winning 3 more titles when their dynasty had seemingly closed at the end of the 2000s? Alright, that one I'll give you. It's always a maybe with the Patriots. Bear with us here as we take some complete shots in the dark as to when your favorite team will win their next Super Bowl. Now, of course, this is completely for fun, and we have no idea if it's going to happen, but yeah. Have fun watching, and let us know in 5, 10, or 15, or even 20 years how wrong we were, because trust me, we're probably going to be wrong. Arizona Cardinals 2027. Let's be fun here and offer a specific year. We do like where the Cardinals are going with their rebuild, but it's too bad that they play in the toughest division in football. Even if Kyler Murray becomes an MVP quarterback in short time, the Cardinals are nowhere close to catching the Los Angeles Rams, or the San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. The Cardinals need a few more years to rebuild their defense. They also have to wait until the Seahawks and 49ers championship windows begin to close. Hey, the Cardinals haven't won the NFL championship since 1947. What's another 7 years for the fans to have to wait? Let's crown them world champions for the 2027 season. Atlanta Falcons 2030 or later. The Super Bowl window in the Matt Ryan era has quickly closed, and we have a tough time trusting Atlanta to win the big one after their brutal collapse against the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 51. Ryan and Julio Jones aren't getting any younger. Being mired in mediocrity has prevented Atlanta from landing early draft picks, and they don't tend to go crazy in free agency. The ship has sailed on Matty Ice bringing a Super Bowl to Atlanta. This team, according to our calculations, will have to wait at least a decade to get their hands on the Lombardi Trophy once and for all. Baltimore Ravens 2022. The Lamar Jackson's historically dominant MVP season ended in a thud, as the Ravens were humiliated by the Tennessee Titans in the AFC divisional round. Fear not though, Ravens fans, because a third Lombardi Trophy in the 21st century is totally on the horizon. The Ravens have a genius front office and a grade A coaching staff led by John Harbaugh. Jackson and the majority of Baltimore's cornerstone players are young and in their primes. Don't judge Jackson harshly after 2 disappointing playoff outings. He's got a Lombardi Trophy right in his sights. Let's give a Super Bowl to Baltimore in 2022. Buffalo Bills before 2025. This is a very tough one to determine. On one hand, the Bills have a great head coach in Sean McDermott, a championship caliber defense, and a promising offense led by Josh Allen, John Brown, and Devin Singletary. But anytime the Bills seem to make progress, they take one step back. The good news is that the Patriots' dominant reign on the AFC East will end soon rather than later, and the Bills are the best suited team to knock them off. It's going to take a few more years for the Bills to put all the pieces together. We predict the championship for this long-struggling franchise at some point this decade. Carolina Panthers 2033. The chance to win a Super Bowl under Cam Newton has passed. Carolina seems to be in reset mode, having fired the beloved Ron Rivera while bringing in a brand new NFL head coach in Matt Rule. The Panthers also lost Pro Bowl linebacker Luke Kuechly to retirement, but the franchise has never really been further away from a Super Bowl. This is going to be a long and painful rebuilding process in Carolina. It's hard for us to see a Super Bowl here in the upcoming 20s decade, so I'm going to have fun and wildly guess 2033. Chicago Bears 2035 or later. Well, there was a time when the Bears appeared to be on the verge of something special, but the 2018 NFC North winning season turned out to be a mirage. The defense led by stars such as Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson isn't going to be enough to help the Bears reach the promised land. Chicago made a mistake in drafting Mitch Trubisky over the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. The Bears aren't going to have this defense together forever, and they're unlikely to threaten Aaron Rodgers and his Green Bay Packers over the long run. We expect at least a decade and a half until the Bears win another Super Bowl. With the way they're built now, Chicago is set to be stuck in mediocrity for the next 5 to 10 years. Cincinnati Bengals 2031. If and when the Bengals draft Joe Burrow first overall, the franchise will have acquired the first major piece towards completing their Super Bowl puzzle. But not all high-end draft pick signal callers become Super Bowl champions, especially right off the bat. Just ask Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and Blake Bortles. And that's just to name a few. We're not ready to get too excited about the Bengals' future. They have an owner who never really spends money in free agency. The Bengals haven't set a true winning culture in 30-something years. Did we mention they have to share a division with Lamar Jackson's Ravens?
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Wait until at least 2031 until you can party, Bengal fans. Maybe it'll happen, but I kind of doubt it. Cleveland Browns 2040 or later. Alright, I give up. We made the mistake of getting excited about the Browns in 2019, after they added Odell Beckham Jr. and other veterans to join a star-studded young core. Let's let's just accept that the Browns won't be good for the next 20 years. It's the Cleveland Browns we're talking about. Come on, I really just don't think it's gonna happen. Next, Dallas Cowboys, 2024. I mean, these guys can't be underachievers forever. The Cowboys finally moved on from Jason Garrett after the 2019 season.
Thank you, Jesus!
Before hiring Super Bowl winning head coach Mike McCarthy to replace him. Dallas is loaded with superstars on both sides of the ball. They just need a coach to put it together, and McCarthy should be an upgrade over Garrett. Hate on the Cowboys all you want, but a core of Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Jalen Smith, they won't underachieve forever. There's no way. The Cowboys will break through in short time under McCarthy to win their 6th Super Bowl. Let's go ahead and proclaim them as Super Bowl champions for the 2024 season. Denver Broncos, after 2030. It's hard to not get excited about a young Broncos core that consists of Drew Lock, Noah Fant, Phillip Lindsay, Courtland Sutton, and Bradley Chubb. But it's just really hard to predict the future of this team, especially since they have to share the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We still don't know if Lock is truly the answer either, and there are question marks throughout this defense and offensive line. The AFC is only going to get trickier from here, so the Broncos won't win a Super Bowl at all in the 2020s, but they'll hopefully win it all before 2040. Detroit Lions, 2065. Did I really just say that? See, this list is hard because you know not every team is going to win a Super Bowl over the next 50-something years. There will be a handful of teams that endure an embarrassing drought, and we project the Lions to be one of them. Why? I don't really know. They just never win. Guys, this team has one postseason victory dating back to 1958. Ownership doesn't ever seem concerned about the losing history either. The Lions fired Jim Caldwell, the one good coach they had over 20-something years. They replaced him with Matt Patricia. The front office always does more harm than good. The Lions Super Bowl drought won't end for another 45+ years. Sorry to be harsh, but even the Red Wings, Tigers, and Pistons should all win a title again before the Lions. Green Bay Packers, 2023. Aaron Rodgers is nearing the end of his prime years, and the Packers window will slam shut once he retires. The pressure is on this historic franchise to win now. The only thing standing in the way of the Packers, NFC parity. There are lots of top-tier teams that will contend for many years to come, but the Packers are loaded with difference makers, and they could certainly add another title or two in the next 5 years. They were just one win away from the Super Bowl this year. Money's play may slip over time, but it'll be good enough to carry Green Bay to another Super Bowl before his retirement. Let's crown the Pack as the 2023 champion. Houston Texans, 2028. The Texans were good enough to make the playoffs in the 2010s, but they were never close to reaching true Super Bowl contention. Will that change in the 20s? We think so. Not sure if Bill O'Brien will be here forever, and if the Texans will eventually hire a real GM. But Deshaun Watson is absolute magic, and DeAndre Hopkins has plenty of great football left in him. As long as you have a guy like Watson, you'll always have a chance to win. The Texans are trending up, and they'll eventually come away with the Lombardi Trophy. For the sake of fun, we predict that it happens in the 2028 season. Indianapolis Colts, sometime in the 2040s. With the Andrew Luck era long gone, we can safely predict the Colts as being one of those teams that is decades away from winning a Super Bowl. Nothing against GM Chris Ballard or head coach Frank Reich, but the Colts' future looks very dull right now without Luck. At least terrible teams like the Cardinals, Bengals, and Miami Dolphins have or will have young quarterbacks to get excited about in the future. The Colts? Just not seeing it. Maybe they'll nab a franchise-changing signal caller in an upcoming draft and make us look stupid. If they do, good for you. But for now, we're guessing that they don't win a Super Bowl for the next 20+ years. Jacksonville Jaguars, 2037. Their trip to the 2018 AFC Championship game turned out to be an outlier instead of a sign that brighter days were ahead. This team does not know how to draft. Jalen Ramsey, one of the few home run draft picks, was traded during the 2019 season. The Jaguars can't find themselves a true franchise-changing quarterback. And Doug Marrone has shown that he just doesn't have what it takes to lead the team to a Super Bowl. Duval County, we're so sorry. We don't see a Lombardi Trophy in sight. Your next franchise QB probably won't be drafted until 2032 at the earliest. Give him 5 years to win you a title, which means the Super Bowl will go to Jacksonville in 2037. Kansas City Chiefs, 2019, meaning 2020, meaning this year. For the first time in a half century, the Chiefs won the 2019 AFC Championship by defeating the Tennessee Titans. That set up a Super Bowl 54 showdown with the San Francisco 49ers and Miami. This will be a matchup for the ages, but we can't bet against Mahomes and Andy Reid, who needs that elusive ring to place himself among the NFL's all-time greatest head coaches. We predict Kansas City ends the 50-year title drought by defeating San Fran and Miami. With that, they'll officially have the NFL's shortest Super Bowl drought. Los Angeles Chargers, 2042. Few teams have been more snake-bitten than the Chargers in the 21st century. Despite a plethora of Pro Bowl talent on both sides of the ball, this team never won a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers, and they only made the AFC Championship game on one occasion, back in the 2006 2007 season, even if Tom Brady becomes the Charger. We don't expect him to reverse the franchise's misfortunes. This team always finds incredible ways to blow big games, and they don't even have home field advantage, with visiting fans occupying most of the seats in the stadium during home games. So let's go ahead and project at least 22 more years of misery before the Chargers break through with a Super Bowl win. Sorry guys, again this is all just a prediction, who knows. Los Angeles Rams, sometime in the 2030s. My god, this team's Super Bowl win closed really quickly. Todd Gurley went from borderline generational running back to merely average as the knee injuries began to pile up.
My knee.
Jared Goff's contract officially looks like one of the worst in recent memory as well. Oh, and the Rams sacrificed a ton of draft capital to get Jalen Ramsey, and his extension will take up practically all of their remaining cap space. Gurley is no longer a game changer, and Goff seems alright. With few draft picks over the long haul, and with little cap room, we can't see this Rams core winning a Super Bowl. They missed that chance. Tom Brady, what are you gonna do? Look for the Rams to win it all with a completely different core in the 2030s. Miami Dolphins, 2029. The Dolphins devoted the 2019 season to tanking, and it landed them plenty of draft capital as well as the prime chance to land a franchise-changing quarterback in 2020. We really like the culture the Dolphins have set up here. Brian Flores is clearly the right man to lead the way. Miami will be loaded with young stars in short time, and they'll eventually join the Bills in ending New England's reign of terror in the division. But we're a little hesitant to crown the Dolphins as a champion before other established AFC teams. So let's hold off a bit and give them a Super Bowl in 2029. Minnesota Vikings, 2041. The Vikings have found incredible ways to blow big games throughout their Super Bowl drought. At this point, we just can't predict a breakthrough taking place in the near future. Kirk Cousins isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl. The star-studded defense is getting up there in age, and there are plenty of teams that are better prepared to win in the long run than Minnesota. So we predict at least 2 more decades of the lengthy Super Bowl drought, which won't end until 2041. New England Patriots, 2036. Alright, we'll admit that we've said this many times, but in 2020, it truly feels like the Patriots dynasty is coming to an end.
You serious?
Tom Brady could be on his way out. And even if he isn't, the guy is no longer MVP caliber. Bill Belichick won't be coaching forever either. And there are simply better teams in the AFC with much brighter futures waiting ahead. We just can't predict another Super Bowl for the Patriots this decade, knowing that Brady and Belichick could be leaving sooner rather than later. Not to mention that the AFC now belongs to Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Watson. I mean, hey, maybe Steve Belichick will be the one coaching the Patriots to their next Super Bowl. We'll go ahead and say it doesn't happen until 2036. But this is the hardest one for us to pick. Let's emphasize that. They could totally win next year, who knows? New Orleans Saints, 2020, meaning 2021, meaning next year. The Saints were once again the victims of a heartbreaking playoff loss, this time to the Vikings in overtime of the 2019 NFC wildcard round. As if the Minneapolis Miracle and the Nola no call weren't already heartbreaking enough. Alright, this time we mean it. The Saints can't keep losing in devastating ways. They have to win one more Super Bowl for Drew Brees. The talent is there. The coaching staff is more than capable. They just need some playoff luck. It will finally even out when the Saints win Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay. So, let's hope for the best. New York Giants, 2049. The Giants got their 2 Super Bowl championships with Eli and Tom Coughlin. But a very murky future awaits this franchise. Giants ownership doesn't really seem to have a grasp on how to pick the right front office personnel. Also, this dude looks like a beaver. We don't know how Joe Judge will fare as head coach, but most of Belichick's assistants don't succeed once they leave Foxborough. The Giants front office gives us little reason to believe they'll turn this around. We're projecting a super long title drought that won't end for at least a few decades. But for the sake of being specific, we proclaim the Giants as Super Bowl champions in 2049. New York Jets, 2032. The Jets are another one of those snake-bitten teams, where everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Seeing ghosts.
We do like the young core that consists of Sam Darnold and Jamal Adams, but the Jets don't seem that close to a Super Bowl right now. The Dolphins and Bills are all on better and brighter paths to a championship, and these Jets aren't going to catch the Chiefs, Ravens, or Texans anytime soon. Whether or not Darnold will be the Jets quarterback in 10 years is a question for another day. Our guess is no, and that the next guy will have led New York to a Super Bowl in the 2032 season. So, let's hope for the best. Oakland Raiders, 2039. The Raiders could really go anywhere over the remaining years of the John Gruden era. They could keep sinking, they could be mired in mediocrity, or they could turn around quickly. This is another tough call for us. The Raiders will be a prime free agent destination thanks to the appeal of playing in Las Vegas, so that will help. But most expensive free agent signings don't pan out, and we don't think keeping Derek Carr around will do much to get this team closer. We can't see a Super Bowl coming to Las Vegas in the 20s. Let's just play the guessing game and project the Raiders to finally win it all in 2039. Philadelphia Eagles. After 2035, the Eagles waited a half-century to win their first ever Super Bowl. Their passionate and loyal fan base can easily wait another 15 or so years for the next one, thanks to Nick Foles for finally ending the drought in the 2017 season. The Eagles bought themselves some time and don't need to feel all the pressure putting their fans through more and more decades of misery. But as it stands, we don't see the Eagles team winning a title in the upcoming decade. Carson Wentz just can't stay healthy. And the core players like Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and Jason Kelce only have so many prime years left. And there are simply far superior teams in the NFC. The Eagles fans, give it until sometime after 2035. Another Super Bowl will come. Eventually, just not anytime soon. Pittsburgh Steelers, 2038. With Ben Roethlisberger getting up there in age, we can't help but think the Steelers' window is closed now, even though they have a dominant young defense. But you're about to share a division with both Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, and these Steelers are still a long ways away from figuring out their long-term QB situation, with Ben set to retire sooner rather than later. As such, we project it to be almost 2 full decades until the Steelers win again. But then again, it's the Steelers, so their organization is really committed. They can do it. San Francisco 49ers, 2021. Though we project the 49ers to fall to Kansas City in Super Bowl 54, even if that's the case, their fans won't have to wait long to celebrate Lombardi Trophy number 6. The 49ers core players are in or just entering their prime years. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have quickly built a tremendous culture here. This team will be contending for the long run. We're not wasting much time here. Just hand them the 21 Super Bowl and make us look good. Seattle Seahawks, after 2040. We'd love to give Russell Wilson a second Super Bowl ring on here, but we just can't do it. The Seahawks are built to make the playoffs, but they're nowhere close to a Super Bowl caliber team. Wilson only has so many prime years left, and you have to think that Pete Carroll will retire before 2030 rolls around. Seattle, we're sorry, we can't do it here. You gotta wait another 20 plus years until your next championship. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2053. That one feels right. Unless the Bucs can hop into a time machine and bring John Gruden and the 2002 squad back, there's little reason to expect the Bucs Super Bowl championship in the near future. It's nothing but a losing culture over there. Jameis Winston took this team nowhere in 5 years. And guess what? The next quarterback in Tampa will probably follow his footsteps. Tennessee Titans, before 2040. This is another tough one. Were the 2019 Titans a one-hit wonder or a sign of things to come under Mike Vrabel? Even if it's the former, we know that Ryan Tannehill won't repeat the career year he had in 2019, and the Titans won't have power running back Derrick Henry much longer. Guys at that position who play as physical as he does rarely last that long. We'll simply predict the Titans Super Bowl before 2040. We'll say this though, it would not be shocking if Vrabel guided Tennessee to one much earlier. Washington Redskins, 2057. Dwayne Haskins, Ron Rivera, and probably Chase Young give Washington fans some optimism until you realize that owner Dan Snyder is still in charge. His teams have been mediocre or terrible for the bulk of the past 20 years after all. Washington's football team is known for not doing a whole lot right in the field. So let's give their Super Bowl drought another 37 more years here. However, if Snyder gives up the team in the next 5 years, we could see that Super Bowl title coming a lot sooner. So Snyder, leave. When do you think your favorite team will win their next Super Bowl? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. I make TikToks all the time. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We're on everything. Go find us. Subscribe to TPS. We post videos every day. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click right down below. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.